What's up, everyone? Welcome to a special live edition of the Phantom Effect podcast. I'm just gonna jump in. It's Halloween. It's getting close, and we're talking some horror. We got to argue probably like we guys call yourselves like the kings of horror. Like what do you want to? What moniker do you want to go by? Like,
Ooh, I don't know. I've always preferred the lower level. Kings always get beheaded or have
That's
some
true.
terrible thing happen. So maybe like a duke.
How about Scream Princes?
Ooh, nice.
Ooh, okay.
Scream
That would
Baron.
Queens. No, it's
That would
Princes.
work. I like that.
Never want to be Prince Albert, though, right? So
No,
nothing
no,
around
you
that.
You gotta change it up a little bit, otherwise things can get weird and.
Wait,
Yeah, you could wind up with like a piece of steel through your dong, right?
Wait, is that
Yeah.
why? Oh no, that's the wrong one. I was thinking Edward.
Yeah, no, he's in the can. So.
Yeah. If your fridge is running, so you probably should go check.
Zing.
Which is our terrible segue of introducing Mick and Casey of the Scene Snobs. And we're going to be diving into the horror fandom today, but more in particular, what it means to the guys from the Scene Snobs, what exactly their kind of thoughts on horror is, why exactly it's so passionate for them, what it is about the fandom itself that really appeals. Because obviously it's October, and some people are pretty nervous about getting into like horror films or the horror genre, and there's definitely, there's stigmas around everything, but we're gonna hopefully have some fun and dive into it a little bit, and it's gonna be awesome. I'm glad to bring you both on. And what about you, Devin? I know you like horror movies a fair amount.
Oh yeah. I really didn't get into them until like high school though. Like there was a few that I would watch, but like I have to say like Stephen King's It was like my always go-to. The original TV movie was always my go-to.
Tim Curry, man.
That's the point, right?
That was one when we were kids. When that came out, we went to school the next day, and I know Casey can attest to this too. We went to school the next day, and everyone was talking about it, but none of us had seen it.
Yep.
We were not allowed to stay up that late.
It was the stuff our parents were talking about. We had heard it through the doors, the walls, and there was occasional screams, and you come running outside like, is everything okay?
I'll protect you.
So
You just see a clown on screen, and you're like, what's that? Go to bed.
no.
But this looks like it's gonna be funny.
Yeah, but it's funny. Go to bed.
He's in a grave. Get out of here. He's making fun of a stuttering Billy kid.
Was there ever like a movie for you guys like growing up that like gave you the nightmares as a kid growing up? Was there something that you guys ever watched that were just like, oh, okay, yeah, there it is?
Make you fire off first.
Everything. There was quite a bit when I was real young in the 80s, because that was, I don't want to say that was the mecca of horror movies, but it was definitely the biggest genre, I would say. And there's so many things that would pop on. Like one I was watching last night was The Gate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great movie. You watch it now and you're like, oh yeah, this is fun. But at that, when you're that young, you're younger than the star of the film, like oh man, this is messed up. Like, I don't want to do this. Things like It was another one that kind of terrified me.
Yeah.
But we were the guys who were always like, this is taboo. We're not really supposed to be watching it at our age, but we're in. We want to do this.
Yeah, the ones for me that really terrified me at the earliest age, one definitively that I always remember is House 2. And it was something I watched in the afternoon with my grandfather. But it has a scene with a cowboy who rides down from the attic and tries to track down the main characters and kill them. Well, at the foot of my bed where I grew up in that house was the stairs to the attic. So about a solid year of my life, I was just living terrified of that. So horror movies were not cool with me for a little while until closer to like 12 did I start to get over that.
Case, I got to ask you though, like, you grew up and like you realized what House 2 is, right? Like, I get it as a kid.
Oh, no, as a kid it was terrifying. But in older age, it's a wonderful, terrible movie, yeah.
Yeah, like it's because it is such a bad movie. Watchable, just bad.
I mean,
Hilarious.
the idea of breaking through the wall in your house to find an Aztec ritual going on. Yeah, look, I understood the absurdity of the movie. It's not like I was in hook, line, and sinker. like I was with Beauty and the Beast back in those days. I legitimately thought the Ron Perlman show was taking place in real life. That was age around then.
So that kind, because that's interesting that you bring that up, because it's like there are things when you're a kid that you're thinking like, oh shit, this could really happen.
Yeah.
Like, and then once you start kind of finding out, because like I said, I wasn't really getting into it till like early, like high school, like middle school kind of situation, and obviously you have a lot of people on the internet talking about stuff, and like you're finding out these facts. Well, like I remember watching Amityville Horror and being like, this is no big deal, and then all of a sudden like you read about it, you're like, oh yeah, this really happened. You're like, what?
Yeah.
That's his movie. That's a
Amityville
Casey
Horror.
movie through and through.
When the chick, when the babysitter gets her finger in the dirt and shoved in the chick's head, I'm like, dude, what?
Yeah, the reboot was pretty radical. I love what they did with it. A lot of neat stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
and it's got the most gorgeous man ever in it. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The stunning Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, yeah, true. Fair point.
some people do say Mick kind of reflects him, but
A little bit. I always get the Brendan Fraser vibe, but I see where you're coming from.
okay.
That's the bloatedness.
The Brendan Fraser.
No, just keep throwing,
The
that my
bro.
way, man.
The
man.
Mummy.
Keep throwing it.
The Mummy.
The Mummy.
I would take Brendan Fraser in The Mummy in a second.
That's
Like,
what
if
I'm
I
giving
thought
you, bro.
that's who you meant,
That's
and not
exactly
Brendan
who
Fraser.
I mean.
No, it's not. You mean
How
Brendan
dare
Fraser.
you be so hard on yourself? You stop that right now. You be good to yourself.
Yeah,
Listen,
you are
Brendan
Fraser-
you are not blast to the past, Brendan Fraser. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That guy was
Pasty
weird.
white living down in the middle.
Yeah.
Although
Oh,
I
man.
love Brendan Fraser, he is fantastic.
Oh yeah. I'm just
National
like,
treasure.
you gotta love the comeback story.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, for me growing up, it was the only movie that really freaked me out was Poltergeist, and then rewatching it now, I was like, wait, what? Like, I didn't understand why I was so freaked out by it. But when you're like 5 or 6, you're like,
Oh, yeah.
But it's different for me. Like, I got really into not so much like horror, but I got into like those like low budget, like Hobo with a Shotgun, the Toxic Avenger.
Yeah,
like-
the trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got really into those movies, like where, like the big horror stuff now. Like I'll see the big movies that come out, but generally I always stick to like those really 70s, 80s movies that are just like,
Return of the Living Dead. One of my
Yeah.
favorites. Yeah, absolutely.
oh
That's
yeah,
a great one.
I just gotta love it.
I will say, Toxic Avenger, though, he's from Jersey. I actually grew up and I have friends that were in that movie.
Fucking Jersey every time with this guy. Jeez, guys.
He's our biggest superhero.
Well, now we gotta like, I don't know, did we cut it? Like, I don't know. He's mentioning Jersey, so I don't know how we.
It's fair. It's fair.
I don't know what we do at this point, but I guess we'll.
But you know what? Let's just roll with it. Let's see what
yeah,
happens.
we'll
You know
yeah,
what?
we'll take it what it is.
All right.
and
Thanks
we'll
everyone for sticking around with us during this tumultuous time.
Yeah.
So,
I wanna ask you too. Like, if there's this movie I remember as a kid, and being like a big gamer and stuff too. It was always crazy. It was called Stay Alive,
No.
Mhm.
and it was where the kids would play video games. If you die in the game, you die
Oh
in real
yeah,
life.
yeah. Wasn't it they played a specific game though? Like they all like they rented a game or something or found a game or something. And...
It was like a bootleg game or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it was some weird bootleg.
It
They
was
bought
like
it
a
like a
ho-
weird
yeah.
shop.
Frankie
It was like a-
Muniz was in
yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Malcolm.
And he wasn't even
Yeah.
the star of it.
Malcolm kids.
No, it was like didn't he die? I think didn't he die really quick? Or like one of the
I
first
think
few
so.
people. I'm fairly
But
sure.
like they died how they died in the game too, which was funny because it was like they're like
Yeah.
in this 2000s universe, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, a horse-drawn carriage ran this person over. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, and like
What
all
a
of sudden, like,
what
the
a
person's,
mystery.
Like, yeah, they show up dead later. Like, who knows what happened? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe don't pick up video games in like a Chinese like
Back alley
shop.
I mean, that seems like a pretty good safety movie, I guess.
What,
Guess
what
I
to you guys?
Got to
is-
return Mark's Christmas gift here.
Yeah, it brings up an interesting question for you guys. Like, what to you is like the one horror, I guess, like trope where you're like, you kind of wish it was not the way it is. Like the standard tropes that horror movies have. Like, what to you guys is something that you feel like kind of should be changed a little bit?
That's a great question. To be honest, I mean, there are some things that just kind of get boring for me.
Hmm.
And I wish maybe they don't go away forever, but they go away for a while. Um, and I kind of like where that's at right now in terms of slasher films. You know, the dead, he's back in the next movie. Something happened, he's back. Like, that always kind of bugged me. Not when I was a kid, but as I got older and I kept watching the Friday 13th and the Halloweens and and Nightmares and things like that, I was like, how does he keep coming back? I was like, come on. I was like, I mean, I know logistically in the world, the budget's how he keeps coming back, but overall, it was just an overdone trope. But I think it went away for a while. You know, they started doing the reboots and they didn't work out that well. And now we get something like the 2018 Halloween. It's like, screw, we're just going to reimagine this and we're going to start fresh.
Yeah.
And I was like, I dig that. I kind of want to see everybody else do that.
Yeah, and that was in line with that. The one of the tropes that's always bothered me is the very strict characters. Like, as far as you have certain categories, you have your stoner, and then you have your sluts, and then you have, you know, your party kids, and then you have the jerks or the jocks. And it's been nice actually seeing that since Scream. It's changed a bit. Scream was definitely one that kind of threw it out there and kind of put it on its head a little more. Really just made focus of it. Didn't change much. But then you move that along, and Final Girls is one movie that's come out pretty recently. I want to say within the last 6 years, that has kind of changed that again, and they keep changing that. And more recent movies, Bloody Summer Camp, one that our buddy Dave did, that's really put a lot of things on its head. You know, really flips the script on a lot of parts. So you don't have the traditional characters, or if you do, it's in a parody kind of loving, funny, haha way. So I've liked that. I've enjoyed seeing that trope kind of be destroyed.
Now, what do you guys think about the way that, like, Saw did theirs, where it was essentially a person who either knew the bad guy or, you know, whoever, and actually it created the next killer, essentially. What do you think about that kind of trope into the brought into horror films?
I'm always fine with that because I think that just progresses the story and it's going to give us another option. I mean, if it's a good movie, give us more ways to get more killers and create more awesome deaths. All right, great. I'm fine with it, you know, as long as it doesn't suck. And I think, unfortunately, in some cases, the stories have not been strong enough to maintain some of the gore and some of the other action that goes on in the Saw movies. Right. But if you're just watching them for, you know, the key grip who wrote it, heck yeah, it's great. Like, I want to see this guy's jaw get ripped open. It's awesome.
All the organs.
Right?
Think, something like that, like what I was saying with the old the slashers of old, Saw at least tried something new. I'm not a big gore porn fan. I don't care. If it doesn't have a good story, I'm not really interested. Saw, I'd elevate that a little bit above because they at least tried to have a story behind it. You know, but they tried with Shawnee Smith taking over. Then they tried with what's his name, the dude from the Glades. I can never think of his name. He did it in Jigsaw, and now they're trying it something new with Spiral. You know, so I don't mind that, and I really like Spiral. You know, because it had a good story to it, and you know, Chris Rock kind of taking that over. I was pretty happy about that, and I would like to see it kind of go from there.
Yeah. Were you talking about Clifton Campbell?
Clifton Campbell directed it? Oh no, I mean Chris Rock just took it over, as in like.
When you said Jigsaw, you were trying to figure out the name. Was Clifton Campbell the one you were trying to figure out?
Oh yeah, I just remember him from, like, he was like the lead star of The Glades, which I watched like 3 times.
Oh, the creator. My bad.
I love that terrible show.
I have never seen The Glades.
It is awful. You don't need to.
I feel like that's more incentive
putting
to
it
watch
on the list for Netflix.
You like police procedurals with snarky lead cops, then go
awful
for it.
Repertoire between the characters that for some reason keeps you enticed. Like, come on, aren't you all just going to realize what you're putting on film at some point?
Where it's like really? It's so bad that it's good.
Yeah.
That's when they pull out their big stack of money and just go, "What'd you say? I didn't catch that."
They're like, yeah.
What I never
I mean, it's totally true. I get that. I accept hey, they win.
These shows came out at a time when Psych existed. And Psych, in my opinion, is
Yeah.
probably the best police procedural
Oh
show
yeah,
of all time.
Psych,
100%.
Psych was amazing. So good.
And
think-
they didn't even try to copy it. They tried to like, well, we'll just take it this way, and it's like, come on.
Yeah, I know. When you're on this, it's kind of one of those things where like Psych was kind of revolutionary for what it was at the time. When you're trying to, I guess, compete with it, but trying to set yourself apart, you're either going to hit a home run or it's just going to fall completely flat.
Yeah.
Which I'm guessing from the sound of it sounds like the Glades just went.
Which oddly, like USA kind of ruled during that little era with that, and kind of get Royal Pains and these weird shows that lasted 8 or 9 seasons.
No, Casey, no. Royal Pains is not getting any dues. It's terrible. It's a terrible, terrible show.
What was it? There was that other one. Monk. Monk was another one too. That was
Monk was
yeah.
good though. Yeah, Royal Pains
Monk
is just
was
pure
great,
white
yeah.
privilege. It's hilarious.
Monk led the charge for all of those quirky police officers, though.
Yes.
Yeah, it did. Monk was definitely a little bit different for what it was trying to do, and I can definitely appreciate for what Monk was. Which does remind me, what is it? 13 Ghosts? Is that the name of the movie that he was in? That horror movie he was in?
Which is always Monk visits a haunted house to me every time I watch
it. Yeah, it's a fair point. I always think that movie is very underrated, though. Like, I feel like it's definitely better than the vibe it kind of gets.
Oh, 13 Ghosts, fantastic. That was when
I
came out and was like on DVD while I was in the military, and I remember watching it while on base, just trapped with like 4 other movies and 100 stinky guys, and we're like, all right, I guess we're watching this one again.
13 Ghosts for the 13th time. All right, let's do this.
One for each ghost.
Is there so I mean we'll kind of obviously bounce around. That's what we always like to do here on the Phantom Effect. So we were talking about tropes earlier, and so I want to put you both on the spot. So you both have to pick a trope for the other person. If that's good. Like you're going to be in a horror movie. You each got to pick a trope for the other one. What trope do you think fits the other person?
Ooh.
Which one fits?
We'd like
Comic
your own
relief.
people. Comic for Casey?
Yeah,
Comic relief. He's the guy. He's the quirky friend that's there.
Okay.
That's fair.
How early does he die in the movie, or is he the comic that lives?
If you go by Cabin in the Woods, he survives until the very end.
That's true.
Hey, you talking about the movie with the cabin in the woods?
There's a lot of those. No, it's actually this one is titled. You know, that one with the cabin in the woods.
Yeah, that one movie where there's that cabin and you're in the
I'm not ruining that ending for anyone.
That is one of the best. Like, as stupid it is, even though it's in like the worst one out of all those scary movies, that it has to be like the best joke they've told in a long time for those. That made me laugh so hard when they were just going back and forth for that for like 5 minutes straight.
Oh yeah.
Like, we got this. They're never going to believe we're putting this as the title.
No.
For Mick, I would actually probably say the trope for him. Gosh, it's really hard, man. It's shockingly difficult. I'm gonna say he is the cabin in the woods trope. He is always that place. You're gonna go back to that same place every time.
Oh, not. Let's stay home.
You are. Always gonna go back to that same place the same time. I believe we were writing a movie about a cabin that was in the woods. We did that.
We did. It's that was like the third draft. So
and then we saw the movie Cabin in the Woods and went, interesting.
They did it so much better.
So much.
Casey, did you leave that paper at Starbucks again? Damn it!
I know, man. I'm just.
It was our movie.
No. That was not our movie.
No, completely different. No.
I will never steal credit for good ideas like that.
No, it was amazing.
I mean, in all seriousness, the way I take Mark is he is Billy from Scream. That's the way I see Mark.
Well, that's horrifying.
But way better looking than Skeet Ulrich. So let's just start there, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Casey hates Skeet Ulrich. So.
I don't hate him. He's just got a stupid face.
He looks like Johnny Depp. He looks like a young Johnny Depp.
No, because Johnny Depp is not stupid faced. So clearly,
I mean, I guess the more you know.
Don't worry, Casey. I feel the same way about Ben Affleck. Great, he has some good movies, but just can't stand the dude.
He's got a stupid face.
He's got a stupid face.
Poor guy. Poor Ben. He's trying to be Batman and shit.
No, don't poor Ben. He's with Jennifer Lopez again. You just
He's
shut
got
your
more
mouth.
money than he knows what to do. Like I can hate on him all I want for being like I hated Daredevil and I thought he was So I always viewed him as Batman as he was a great Bruce Wayne, I felt, but a terrible Batman.
See, and that was my George Clooney. I've always felt that way about George Clooney. I feel like Batman actually in the extendo supercut was far better portrayed and did do a decent job.
I actually agree with you, Mark. He was a great Daredevil.
Yeah, totally, yeah. This is the greatest movie of our generation.
Oh, and
Rewrite
Jennifer
history.
Garner's Elektra just crushed it.
Is that your like desert island movie? You know, like if I just gave you a TV in one movie, you're just gonna watch that on loop.
Well, yeah.
No, that's 13 Ghosts for Casey.
It's 13 Ghosts for him, and that's me
13
just
Ghosts for
watching the
Casey,
fan
yeah.
scene and Daredevil over and over.
I don't really know if
Just-
I appreciate these things
gonna
being
give Casey
spoken about us out
flashbacks
over
to
the
the
world.
smell
Yeah,
of
I don't
food.
need to go back there, man.
Does the movie
They call
like
this the-
triggered?
That
These
and
two
Jet
called us
Li's
the
the
kings
one
of
I
horror.
can't. Mm-mm.
They called us
Yeah.
the kings of horror, and then made us, well, we really made ourselves look like we know nothing about horror.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
It's a sandwich we build here in the Phantom Effect.
It's the
Retract
same, yeah.
yourselves.
We'll come back around.
We give you all the credibility, then slowly peel it away. To everyone's like, wait, they don't know what they're talking about. We're like, yes.
Are they
I've actually
drunk?
never seen
What are they
that
doing
movie.
here?
And then we finish it off with, go listen to their podcast. It's amazing.
Go listen to their stuff. All their stuff is so good. So I mean, obviously, like, well, like I said, it does bring. I'll give you guys a good opportunity to try to showcase some of your horror knowledge. So, not your personal top 5, but what's like a top like 3 or 5 that if someone's looking to try to get into like horror movies, like more into horror movies, what would be your like top recommendations for like a general public? And it can be, and if it's in your top, then just say it like, hey, this is in my top 5, but also it appeals to like a broader audience.
Now, this is a loaded question because I'm looking at it from the point of view of like, am I introducing kids to it? Am I introducing?
Let's go
Let's
ages
say like 18 and
15.
up. Like
No, I'm going to
18,
go
yeah.
15.
15?
15 and up?
15.
Okay.
15
Okay.
and up.
Evil Dead is definitely on there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Solid.
Halloween. I mean, because I feel like if you're going to introduce to the slasher genre, Halloween is a good intro for that.
Plus, these kids need to know what a true pull-up looks like, because when he comes down from that pipe,
Oh yeah.
drops off, A1.
You can tell the age gap between you guys and us because like you're talking about Halloween H2O and I'm talking about the 1978 original.
And I get my movies mixed. Sometimes he's dropping out of places and walking out of
He
places
does
randomly.
drop
So
out
I
a
can't.
lot.
I get them all mixed up. Yeah.
It is amazing to me that he is dropping he didn't do anything like that in the first one, but he's dropping from a pipe 20 years later.
Nah, in the first
Yeah.
one, he's just creepily following you and then walks into your house. It's way worse.
Well, yeah.
See, he was like 26 in the first one, so that means 20 years later he's 46. I'm almost 40, and there's no way I'm doing that, so I don't believe this. That's how
I
I
can do it once.
once. You get one take.
What?
Mick, you could drop down from a pipe. That's not that.
But it
hard.
wouldn't be like he dropped down like
It's
he like dropped down like
reasonable.
real slow. Like it would be I'm holding on to the pipe for dear life and it's snapping and coming down with me. That's what would happen. I'd drop on top of Jamie Lee Curtis at 150 miles an hour due to the gravitational pull and murdering her just by the sheer weight that's landing on top of her. And then I would just be hated.
You have him like back up against the wall real quick. What was
What?
that sound? Nothing.
Nothing.
Keep
That's
going.
That's a different kind of horror trope right there.
Right.
So we got Halloween and you have Evil Dead.
I do think that something like you need to go a little bit newer, especially how things have changed. I would say Get Out is a good one for a young, to be introduced to it. This is a good question. Like I wasn't prepared for this part. I was like, yeah, I'll give you whatever movies you want to hear about. But I was like,
That's what I
yeah,
Say
do.
something awful like Rosemary's Baby just to screw with him.
no, because that's awful. That's just an awful, awful movie.
Watch this ridiculous slow plotting movie for an hour and a half, and then the devil's the dad. There you go. Congratulations.
Do you feel like you wasted your time?
We hope you enjoy. This was scary to your parents, honest.
Go watch The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I completely walked out of that one.
I love that movie, and I understand it's crap, but I love it.
Oh, it's complete garbage when she breaks that chick's arm.
Oh yeah.
There's so I feel like
Stop it.
Yeah.
Oh god.
We don't have to like good movies. Have you ever heard of a movie called Black Sheep? That's pretty impressive. I love that one.
I feel like that's part of like some of the appeal of some of those movies though, is that they're so bad, but you just can't help but watch them over and over and over again.
You got to watch a fiery train wreck, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I walked out of it. Nothing else was like started up around the time I walked out. So I'm like, oh, fuck. So I walked back in it to finish it out, and I came in right when the chick fell over the stair railing and landed on the scissors.
I think I walked out of what was the new like Orphan, or it came out maybe like 5-6 years ago.
The Orphan.
Like the girl who like it looks like a little girl, but she's actually like 40 years old.
Yeah, the one with the little neckband and all that.
Yeah. I did walk out of that for a little bit because I was just like I couldn't do it. Like as soon as she started like grinding on her dad and like trying to sleep with him or whatever, I was just like, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, kid stuff bugs me, man, and they're also the scariest, man. Kid stuff is the scariest. The idea of you want to play and then like slicing your Achilles tendon, it's messed up, man. I'm not okay with it.
That's a tough one. That's one I can't even revisit anymore.
So does stuff like Chucky get to you, where it's like dolls, or is it just like kids?
No, Chucky's fine because Chucky's a doll, and you can just take a doll and beat the ever-loving crap out of it. All right?
True.
The only reason dolls scare me is, number one, if they're hiding under your bed, because, once again, the Achilles thing, as repeated. And then the other one is behind in the car. When he's up, gets the knife to the throat in the car. It's like, well, I mean, you're not going to see him. He's a tiny little thing there. So, yeah, but other than that, that's not a big deal. But kids, nah, man. You can't, because kids are tough because you don't know if it's a problem or not until it's way too late.
Yeah, until like they're already chasing you through the hallway with like a cleaver knife, and it's
or they've stabbed you like 5 times because you think, oh, it's cute, and you go to give them a hug, and it's not cute. They're stabbing you. So,
yeah, like, well, even though it's not a scary movie, the new Pet Cemetery, where the little like the girl like stabs her dad out of like nowhere, and then just like essentially kills her parents or whatever. Like
Yeah, that ending screwed me up a little bit. Like whereas like the original movie.
Oh yeah.
It's gotta be like Children of the Corn, right? Where it's just constantly just like for 5 minutes, just grabbing stuff off desks and whatnot.
Well, I think to Mick's point, like the ending of the new one is definitely like you feel so like you're not like more than bad. You're just like Jesus, because you know what's about to happen.
Yeah, you're sitting there and you're like, all I want to do is help. And I can't because it's a movie, so it doesn't exist. But you can't get past the fact that it doesn't exist. You're just like, I just want to help.
They definitely did, like, even though the movie itself to me wasn't like all that great, the ending definitely was like a good horror punchline of like right to your gut of like there's nothing you can do, but it's just gonna happen anyway.
If you guys can't tell, we're actually bringing Mick a lot more time for him to think of these last.
I know.
The
this whole last
think of another one. The Lost Boys.
Lost Boys is strong, bro.
Strong one.
And Candyman's definitely one I think everybody should check out.
Okay.
Sweet.
No, 4 more times. I can't say it anymore.
Yeah, no, you don't say it anymore. All right. I won't say it either. So on my list, a little bit different. I would start actually with Dale and Tucker versus Evil. Would be one because I think having that fun, kind of have the funny side of it, it makes everything a little bit easier. And then I would throw out Wrong Turn because I love a good, cheesy, funny, wacky thriller with some mutant hillbilly folk. I mean,
the original or the new one?
No, I'm going to go actually which original? Oh, Elijah Dushku original?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, what?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the original. I'm gonna go with that one. I really like the new one too. The new one was good.
Casey inspired me with Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, so I would say Shaun of the Dead. I'd put that on my list.
Ooh.
Really? Going to 6, huh? Cool. Cool.
Hey, I'm
Now
just
Great.
Casey's like, great. Now I gotta go 6. Like,
Do
great.
you
It's
realize
just-
how long that
let's just-
took to come up with my 5? You beautiful human.
Get
All right,
one more.
so
Do it.
do it?
all right, so after those, Halloween. I'm going to repeat on that. Halloween is a
Okay.
must see. As slashers go, and as being one of the OGs, it's one of my favorites, and I absolutely
Yeah.
love it. And Laurie Strode is the best final girl, and I will go down in history with that one. I will fight tooth and nail to defend that position.
I can agree. I can agree with you on that.
And then I'd also have to throw in there, oh gosh, doing something weird, doing something crazy. The Exorcist. You know what? Good exorcism movie. I think that one. Or I would
Solid.
swap it out and say Dominion.
Oh God, why?
Was it Dominion or was it the other? Which one was the one that didn't suck? Because they released 2 of them.
The third
I
one.
never remember.
The third one.
They literally
Which one
put.
didn't suck?
There was 2 of them. It was the same movie, and one of them's called Dominion, and the other one is like Poltergeist: The Beginning, or not
No,
Poltergeist.
so it's
Exorcist:
it's
Beginning.
The Exorcist, The Exorcist 2, The Heretic, The Exorcist 3, which is a good one. Exorcist 4, which is Dominion.
Okay. So yeah, the very last one was Stellan Skarsgård. I love the guy. I think he did a great job in that role. Oh, whatever. Oh, suck it. So oh, suck an egg, Chief. So then number 5, I would actually bring it back around, and no matter who you are, Ernest Scared Stupid.
That's a fun one.
Scared stupid. Okay.
Because it's a fun one, it's wacky. You could also interchange that with Pumpkinhead if you wanted to get crazy. Still
All right,
also
well, I mean,
fun
if
and
you're gonna
wacky,
throw
just
that
trying
in,
to be
I'm
more
gonna-
serious.
I'm gonna throw in a 7th and say Monster Squad.
I'm gonna keep it going and.
Keep going. I want your 7.
Oh.
You know what?
10.
No, I'm surprised nobody. I would have went with Trick or Treat somewhere in there.
Trick or
I-
Treat,
Treat's a good one.
VHS, those ones I feel like are kind of beyond the introduction. Now you're into horror. You know what I'm saying? Now you're starting to see some more of the deeper, cooler levels of what horror does and how
Right.
wide it gets and the expanse of it. So that's where I feel Trick or Treat, VHS, different stuff like that comes into play.
Oh shit! The
Mortuary
Thing.
collection.
Have we
Thing,
not said The Thing?
Oh yeah, the thing.
Yeah.
If anybody watches The Thing, like not watching horror movies, like that's gonna completely entrench you into the.
Conjuring, the first one, and really any of the James Wan movies. With that
Sinister.
feel he
Ooh.
brings, man. It's
See?
parallel.
Casey,
We only bring you
Easy.
guys experts. That's the only thing we do here.
After we took away part of their credibility, we slowly brought it back.
Yes.
in fairness,
No,
we
it'll
have to
come
play
back.
our own
Let's
credibility.
support
Slowly brought it back.
Casey showed me Sinister, and that one is, I think that's really an underrated movie.
Yeah.
It's so
That's the one with the
good.
dude in the film, right? Where he's like
Yeah.
got like a he
Mhm.
kind of like can pop up in the film randomly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's more
This-
terrifying because if you see him, you have to fear your own family or children around you. So once again, scary kids.
That's true, yeah. When you especially when they're in a certain age, like that 3 to 5, when the voice is still kind of super squeaky and
Yeah.
the words are kind of not quite right.
Yeah.
Nothing's quite right about when you're being threatened to be killed by improper English. You're like, somehow this seems worse.
Yeah, it hurts because it's
So
almost it's an affront to my
Yeah.
pride and ego, which are like, ugh, a child. You will be
This
the one
is
that
how I
takes me
go out?
down.
I'm gonna murder your face, Casey. Yeah. it's
How dare! Disgusting.
So
I'm not taking the bait, Tim. I'm not taking the bait in this one. We're talking horror movies, not horrible
Okay.
movies. Not happening.
There's different letters on one of those words.
I'm going to show some respect to the fandom effect.
I do want to ask. So you do have two different styles of Halloween. You have a Rob Zombie, and you have the Wes Cravens, all those styles, or John Carpenter. So I want to know, what do you guys think about the the way that he ended up taking his own route? And I mean, I know Mick kind of said he doesn't like the gore as much, but what did you guys think about the changeover?
Well, before we get to the changeover, there's 4 timelines in Halloween.
There's so many.
There's Halloween 3 takes its own timeline and makes Michael Myers a fictional character. Then you have the Halloween through Resurrection timeline. And then you have the Halloween Rob Zombie timeline.
Just all.
And now
the
you
time.
have the Halloween 1, then the 2018 Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends.
Which wouldn't Halloween 5 fall in line with that?
Halloween 5 falls in line with the Carpenter all the way down the line to Resurrection.
1, 2, and then H2O and Resurrection.
No, 1, 2, 4. Oh no. So 5. Yeah, there's 5 timelines. It's Halloween, Halloween 2, H2O, Resurrection. So Halloween.
Because then you have Halloween 2 by making it Laurie Strode as his sister, kind of shoots that into a different timeline. So if you just go from Halloween 1 to 2018 and then Halloween Kills, that's going to be its own trilogy as well.
It's its own, yeah. And so you have a bunch of different timelines. If you ask me what my favorite timeline is right now, it's Halloween to 2018 Halloween. I really like what they're doing.
Agreed.
I don't mind that it got more gory because it's a good story, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah, I agree, and it's always been one of my favorites. More for Michael Myers because the shape is terrifying, and the fact that he's the stalker. He's always there. He's ever present, and he's able to just walk right up to you and be as natural as anything. And you never know. You're not paying attention. You know, it's strange. It's that whole the lesson. You're so caught up in your own life and your own bullshit that you don't pay attention to things around you. And he could be just standing right there. We're good right now.
Yeah.
But
for now.
But that nice. But that's one of the best parts about him is the fact that the gore's there. It's always there, but it's a byproduct of this terrifying creature. That
It's
could
like
be the omnipresence.
They build up enough like suspense and kind of like adrenaline with like him being the stalker doing things he does. For, like when you do see all the gore, you're like, there's a proper build up to it versus like just the killer walking out of nowhere and like ripping someone's intestines out and being like, there it is. Like, okay, terrible movie, but See No Evil, the one with Kane from WWE.
I knew wrestling was coming into this at some point.
What?
Oh.
We don't see that.
Now we have to talk about the New Day versus Undertaker.
I saw that. I watched it with my kids.
Right. Yeah.
So
Interactive.
goofy. So goofy.
Yeah. It really is. But my point with See No Evil was that like there was no buildup of suspense. It was just like straight gore. With like I think to Casey's point, like with Michael, like with Halloween, there's like a proper buildup of like suspense and the other things that he's doing and like light stabbings, like a little bit of blood and then like a lead up to actually like the gore versus like just here's all the gore.
Yeah, because the gore is usually more in the way he's presenting it to whoever his victims are. He's presenting these bodies usually throughout the movie and kind of moves them and changes their positions and messes with them. And it just messes with you. It's a psychotic thing.
Right.
And it's terrifying. And he does a great job of that versus, say, Hellraiser, which started as, okay, you understand there's going to be gore there. You know, there's a lot of blood and gore. I mean, one of the dudes skinless, the main character skinless for most of the movie, number one. Right. And then, it just only gets worse from there to the point where I can't even watch some of the later ones because they're straight gore porn. And it's just like, hey, we're just going to be gross. Look how gross we can be. It's like, why?
Yeah. Which, and I know we're wrapping up here, Jesus, in a little bit. So there's kind of one question we're going to say for the end, which we talked about you guys before. But the other thing I want to ask you is we always kind of like to explore what can be like kind of cross, I guess, digital platform in a way. So is there any franchise to you guys in the horror genre, obviously, that you think could make a successful TV show?
Ooh, bro, what are you thinking?
Any horror, right?
Yeah.
Any horror icon.
Because I feel like that's one thing that we really haven't seen too much of is like a pure kind of horror TV show.
I think it's very difficult. American Horror Story did a great job being able to create those different serialized stories. Mm-hmm. And I think the serialized stories are always easier to pull off because you start to get a little long in the tooth. Like if you're trying to do constant possessions or if you're trying to do constant ghost stories and hauntings, or if you're trying, it's very difficult to maintain the interest. Being Human was a show that I loved. That wasn't really horror, but it was, vampire ghost and a werewolf. And that still started to lose steam after a couple seasons. Shows like it's difficult to keep interest. So that's the interesting question. What do you think there, Mick?
Well, Chucky starts tomorrow, and I'm actually pretty excited for that because I do feel like they, Don Mancini went in the right directions with how to keep Chucky alive. And it's not one of those things where he just keeps getting killed, coming back. Like, it actually makes sense, and he did a good job. So I'm excited to see what they do in terms of a TV show for that. But Television show based on horror movies that I'd like to see. I think something like a what was it? Maybe like Nightmare on Elm Street could work. Freddy, because they tried that back in the day,
Yeah.
and it wasn't that bad. I just don't think people were ready for it.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was a pretty low budget too, as I recall.
Yeah, I
So,
think you could.
It's hard.
You could do something like that, like an anthology, like Casey was saying. But I'm trying to think of like a good icon. Lost Boys could be a cool. Like if you didn't follow a certain set of people, it was just life in Santa Carla.
Yeah.
And kind of
Kind of like a Melrose Place feel, but with vampires.
Listen, stop CW finding everything. We're not teaching
Melrose
Mrs.
Place
King
was
to
not
Lost Boys.
CW, bro. That was like old school Fox.
They were CW.
Not
later.
Charm.
When they rebooted.
Charmed is
Yeah,
amazing.
it's not Charmed.
Charmed was straight up WBCW. Holler.
Stuff like that, I think, like you could where you can extend yourself a little bit more, and tell stories from different points of view. I don't think you could take like a Michael Myers or a Jason Voorhees and say, okay, we're going to do a TV show every week. I think it would just get tiring.
Yeah, it's not riveting. What are you gonna do? Get into the mind of the mindless shape who just goes around murdering things? They're gonna find a love interest? Come on.
Hilariously enough, The Exorcist did a good job with the TV show.
Yes, you know what? Exorcist did a great job, and you did mention Chucky, and I'm excited for Chucky because Chucky is very logically able to exist kind of agelessly. So it works. It fits. You could have a sustainable show from that. Scream tried to do the show thing, and I think that suffered more from being the MTV sort of, I don't know, it didn't quite have enough meat on the bones.
Having a whodunit TV show is tough because if it's not well written or wrapped around just the mystery, you actually have to figure out who the killer is. Like if there's time limits to it, that, you know, like by the end of this episode, somebody's going to die. It's tough. Like with Chucky, Chucky is such a character.
Yeah.
So you're going to enjoy what you see. It's not like Michael Myers doesn't talk or Jason Voorhees. Like that's why I think Freddy would work.
Freddy
would.
Freddy could work, because I think to your point with Chucky is you can do a proper build-up where you don't really need him killing someone every episode. You can just have him doing little things as you build up like the proper storyline of like what he's actually trying to do in the show, and so I do feel like I am excited to watch the Chucky show because it's been a while since there's been something like in that, which is why I asked the question, and you guys like spouted off so many things that is good knowledge.
I hope some of it helps.
Yeah.
I mean, but like to Casey's point when he's talking about he likes the show where it's got like werewolves and whatnot in it. So by that point, Casey, you like What We Do in the Shadows.
Absolutely. 100% love that show. It is brilliant.
In his top 3.
That is, Mark, and honestly, Mark, if you have not watched it, you need to give it a watch. Not only is the movie hilarious, but the TV show has to be one of my favorite shows to watch.
Oh my gosh, the movie was great, and everything they've done with the show was just better. I didn't think it could be. I was like, "There's no way. This is one of my top movies. There's no chance." But they did it.
I agree. Every movie and TV show hit on all cylinders, and the fact that they've connected the TV show to the movie, and Taika even came back like that, it means you're showing respect to what you were built off of.
And just for you, Casey, I will rock my Colin Robinson glasses for the rest of this interview.
Righteous, looking strong.
I can put on my Blockbuster sunglasses.
I'll just sit there with my Colin Robinson.
I can't
you
grab.
guys know.
I would wear mine, but it would be way too close because I'm nearsighted. That would kill me. What do you guys think about this?
That'd
hurt. Let's see. Yeah, some people talking about someone commenting on the Chucky TV show, but saying they would like to see like the origin more of Chucky versus.
I think they're going to visit the origin more, but there's not much you need to. But I think from what I understand, I'm going to take these off. Just because like it's shining back at me, and weirdly enough for sunglasses. I think Chucky is going to visit because they keep mentioning in the trailers that it's his hometown that they're in.
Right.
So I think they're going to cut back to it. His daughter is coming. Brad Dourif's daughter is coming back. If you remember from the movies, Curse and Cult.
Yeah.
He played an integral part in what happens to Chucky. So I'm very interested to see where they go with it.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. It's one of those shows where like when I did finally see like a trailer for it, I was like, okay, like this is something I'm actually interested to see where they go with it. I'm probably gonna wait until a few episodes are out, so that way I can kind of like watch a little bit of a build up.
Yeah, agreed. I have a general rule with any new shows like that. I've got to get like 3 episodes in. I got to give it
Yeah.
3 episodes. Got to let the writers kind of do what they're trying to do
Yeah.
and build their story. Because I mean, I just started watching Midnight Mass. I got through the first episode and was like, I've seen a billion of these damn shows. Why? What are they doing? Whatever.
Yeah.
But I got to give it 3 to make sure.
Yeah,
See.
especially when you know like a season's like between 8 and 10 or somewhere around there. You're like, okay, I gotta get it close to halfway, where you kind of get that like mid-season suspense mark, and you
Right.
kind of want to see what that build-up's gonna be.
As opposed to the old days when we had like, oh, I want to rewatch Buffy the Vampire Slayer 24 episodes later.
That's so tough. It
One
really
season.
is. Like even Supernatural. I love Supernatural.
Oh, great, yeah, amazing
And-
show, amazing show.
It's 15 years of 22 to 24 episodes a season.
Right.
It's like,
It's a lot.
how do you do this? So I just revisit favorite episodes, but like, yeah, it's too much. Like I'm so glad TV's starting to come down to like 13 or 10 episodes.
Yeah,
give
like,
me the BBC model where it's
Yeah.
just 48 minutes of a boatload of story and give me
Yeah.
7 episodes and we're golden.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it's not horror related, but like I was really excited for the new Walker show because I was a huge fan of how ridiculous Walker Texas Ranger was.
It's
back
so
in the-
angsty.
It really is.
And I'm gonna agree with Munster Squad because
Peaky-
that
Peaky
is one of the
Blinders.
great, like one of the main reasons I love Peaky Blinders too.
Yeah, Peaky Blinders is great. They do it's a fantastic like 13 to 15 ish season show where it's just enough where you can get the build up. And yeah, so I don't know if Chucky released how many episodes it's going to be, but I can't
I
imagine.
think it's gonna be like 8 or 10.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't imagine more than 10.
No.
Yeah, it's a sci-fi network show,
Yeah,
so they're
there's-
probably
I
gonna only do
can't-
like
Oh,
10.
good. So we guaranteed 2, maybe 2 seasons. If
Yeah,
it's
they don't
really
have a lot
good,
of-
3 and it's done.
Yeah, sci-fi is going to really heavily have to lean on a few shows here, so I feel like most are going to be defaulted to getting at least 2. So we can kind of call this like a final question for you guys. We talked about it before as we get ready to wrap up here. So I guess kind of a two-parter, but not really. It's just the only way to phrase it is kind of like a two-parter question. But why horror, and what exactly does the horror fandom mean to both of you?
Casey, I'll let you go first.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Because you've been so sweet and let me go first. I have to think about this.
Well, because you're a darling, wonderful human whom I appreciate greatly, my friend. And I appreciate both of you gentlemen for having us on the show. Thanks,
Of
y'all.
course.
Thank you.
So my whole thing has actually been bonding. Horror has always been for me a bonding opportunity. It's a time to bond and hang out with people, whether we were telling ghost stories with a group of friends around a campfire, whether we were able to sneak away once we were old enough to finally watch some actual horror movies.
Yeah.
When our parents called stepdad called me up for the first time to watch Amityville Horror, and he laughed at me as I cowered in the corner of the couch, like terrified, but it was great. I loved it. Like it's always meant that for me. Hanging out with friends, it always like you create more friends that you never thought would be friends. Like you stereotypically go to hang out with a group of people and think, oh, I have nothing in common with these people. And then you talk about horror, and that became this huge link and this huge bond for me throughout my life. It's randomly been horror. And so I've always loved and appreciated horror for that. And that's what I really enjoy. You know, the movies themselves can be fun, stupid, cheesy, wacky, endearing. But at the end of the day, horror is go to. It's easy to power through. It can always be there on the tough days. And there's usually tons of friends in a community that you can converse with about horror at any time.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's been good for that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
For me, horror has always just been, I've always been attracted to horror, and in some element, Halloween, things that are dark and scary. And back when we grew up, being a horror fan, like most adults thought you were a Satanist.
Yep.
Like it's crazy, but they did. They, if like you were a heart, so they tried to like shield you from it and keep you from it. But like it became even more of a thing that just like you had to be into. And as you grow up, like Casey, hit a really good point in saying like it's connection and I don't know about you guys. I'm sure you guys know, but like at a time when we grew up, if you were different, it wasn't you got picked on. You viciously got picked on. You got
It was
beat
called
up.
bullying.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
was-
Like back for us growing up, like anime was not as accepted as it was today. Watching it, especially if you were into more like the Sailor Moon stuff or
Oh yeah.
stuff, like stuff that was out there. So yeah, there was plenty of times where it was like if you were into certain animes or certain video games or when you were
Still watching cartoons, dude. Like what the hell?
Yeah.
If you brought a comic book to school, it wasn't going to make it home unless you really hit it.
Right.
And that's just how it was. And horror was that the worst of the worst almost to the offended bully. They would really attack horror like you were really different and like come after you. But you couldn't help it because you made friends that way. Not because just solidarity of like, okay, we're all getting beat up, we might as well just be friends. Because we connected on the fact that what horror was and what horror did for us. And what a lot of people didn't realize was horror was an outsider's genre. Everything in horror movies, especially back in the 80s, 90s, every character in it was an outsider. Mm-hmm. So we could look at that and be like, that was us. We are the outsiders. We see ourselves in these characters.
And if I could add to that, I mean, that was one of the reasons Joe Bob Briggs and Elvira, those were our characters because they were outsiders like us.
Yeah, like Saturday nights were reserved for Monster Vision. Like you stayed home and you watched them and you saw so many new things. And you could connect with people on this stuff. Like I remember a lot of my greatest memories when it comes to horror is like hanging out with friends, going to a convention, getting the bootleg horror movie from Australia or from Korea, from wherever that you couldn't find somewhere. Even some in America, like Faces of Death, you had to go to a convention to get. Like they didn't just sell it. Then you take it and you guys all go to the same place. I remember one buddy of mine got a Cannibal Holocaust. We all like shuffled in on a Friday night and watched this VHS tape of Cannibal Holocaust. And we were horrified afterwards. But it's the bonding from it. Like we had experienced this. And then we went and played NHL 96 and just hung out for the rest of the night, drinking Mountain Dew. There was a bonding that came with being a horror fan that I don't think you got from really any other genre. I mean, sci-fi may be the closest, but it doesn't touch like horror because sci-fi had a lot of mainstream stuff that people liked.
Yeah.
Right.
And you didn't really get picked on for liking Terminator or Terminator 2 especially.
There's enough out there with Star Trek, Star Wars. Like there's enough out there.
There were still, I used to get pissed off for my Star Wars and Star Trek. So
true. Star Wars,
okay.
Star Wars and Star Trek were a different beast. Like you were a geek if you liked those. What I meant was there were mainstream things that people liked. Like Total Recall was a hit.
True.
And that was a sci-fi movie. So if you lumped everything in together and said sci-fi, a lot of people were, like, I can't really call him a geek for liking sci-fi. So
whereas if you say horror, you might have like My Bloody Valentine, and that's a completely different side.
Well, My Bloody Valentine,
3D, that was awesome to see in 3D.
Yeah, you really love those remakes. Like we're talking about the 1981.
Oh, I understand. I did see the original, but I'm just saying when I saw the one in theaters, when you see a big old pickaxe come at you,
yes, right in the face, it was awesome.
It's great, but like My Bloody Valentine, like a lot of like surface horror fans won't even know. And we take it one step farther, and like in my last slash, which I think it aired tonight actually. So, I talk about The Prowler, which is was made the same year as My Bloody Valentine. It's a very similar movie. Nobody knows about it. And like I'm telling people, I'm like, this is a good horror film. You should go check out slasher film. And but those are the things like when you made those connections, like you knew the inside out of what the horror genre was, and that's what made those connections so special. You remember where you were when you watched horror movies and who you were with. You don't always remember when you watched drama or romance.
Yeah, I remember watching like Troll and being able to connect over that movie.
Oh yeah.
Like when the first time I moved away and was in the military and brought up Troll, and someone was like, "Yeah, I love that movie." I was like, "Get out! It's incredible." And Mark, you also seem to have a gremlin behind you.
I do. Yeah, I do. And you're lucky. I was trying to get him to come on and say he was going to kill Casey in a really creepy voice.
Yes.
Just to give nightmare fuel. And then I was going to clip that and just like start sending that to you in Messenger like every night around midnight. But he wouldn't do it. So
I'm really happy that didn't happen.
I tried.
You know what? That's fine.
It's
okay.
I promised Mick,
More
that I
than
would
enough
try,
just being
and,
on the show. I appreciate it. Too gracious, very kind of you. It's time to go.
We need to leave. But just to quickly give a counterpoint, or not a counterpoint, but to continue on with what you were saying, Mick, is even though I'm not like as into like the horror movies, and my genre tends to be like the crappier made, low budget horror movies, I do have memories in college of me and my roommates being like, we're still drinking at like 2:30 in the morning, and the only thing on the Sci-Fi Channel at 2:30 in the morning is, well, what you would expect to be on at 2:30 in the morning on the Sci-Fi Channel. The only things allowed to be horribly made,
shark octopus or whatever it was.
Like worse than that, like
Transmorphers.
Yeah, like there's one
Island of
called
Spiders.
there's one call that we watched. It was like 3 a.m. It was called Sentinel 4.
Oh yes, the Sentinel movies are also.
Yes.
Oh, I know.
to the point of what literally Casey just said about saying troll and somebody being like, yeah, that movie. I've never met anyone. Whenever I say Sentinel, they're like, who? What? Casey immediately just
late night Sci-Fi Channel, bro. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I was a bartender. That was most of my life.
Yeah. And I think
huge one.
yeah, and that was just like to both of your points of like that movie will forever stand out in my mind for that specific reason. It's 3 a.m. We're all still drinking. We're bored. We have something to watch, and that movie just where we're like, what is this? Like, why are we still watching this? Like, all right, let's just go to bed. No, we got to finish it. There's probably only like half an hour left, even though it's 5 a.m. and we have class the next day in like 4 hours. But we're all like, yeah, it's fine. We have to finish this movie.
Yep.
But there's always those type of movies that you just cannot like stop watching, even though it's bad, stuff like that. Or there's even those B horror comedies that are they're just so bad but good, like Zombievers.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Zombievers, yeah.
That Beaver's on steroids.
Attack of the Killer Ants.
And it was so much harder back in the day to find this stuff. Like now it's readily available. You can stream it anywhere. In fact, most of them are put out in streaming.
Yeah.
You had so many movies when you went to the video store, especially in the horror section, that you were like, wow, I've never heard of this. I can't wait to bring it home. But then there was a gate that when it opened up to you, and like I said, going to the conventions or other things like that, like when that opened up, the flood of just movies from all around that like the true horror aficionados knew, and they had to search for. You had to work for your horror.
Yeah.
And you almost wanted to, as a badge of honor, horror honor, to find these movies and watch them and be like, I saw that. Cannibal Holocaust was one of them. You can stream it anywhere.
Yeah.
My buddy had to get it. My buddy had to get it from India to come in.
There's a friend of mine who lives here who his thing is he collects the worst rated movies he can. Like that's his thing. We and then I'll go over to his place and we watch like the worst rated horror movies and sci-fi movies of all time. And he was like, there's one that he found, Mick, where it's called, I think it's called The Amazing Blob, and it looks like it was made with PowerPoint, and I'm not lying.
That's amazing.
But it was so bad that like I just sat there and I was like, I know full well I'm wasting an hour and a half of my time, and I just don't care.
No, it's not a waste. It's worth it.
Like Casey
there's joy
says,
in there.
The connection that you're doing with your friend when you watch it.
Yeah, and I think to both your points, I think the horror genre, and that's why we wanted to dive into a little bit, is different when it comes to that. Because obviously you can have experiences with your friends doing all sorts of things.
Oh yeah, zip lining and
playing
dirt biking or whatever you wacky kids do nowadays.
Drugs, Casey. We do drugs.
Oh, good. The heron?
Yeah, the heron. Yeah.
The cocaine.
The cocaine.
For real.
So you guys are doing. Kids. You guys are doing the things they said we did because we watched horror when we were kids.
Yeah. It's
Wait,
changed.
you're 7 years old and you like Michael Myers? Are you on heroin?
I listen to death metal and do heroin because I watch Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was really good. Kids were confused and able to say that real quick because they didn't want to get their ass beat by their parents.
Yeah. Well, now the real question is, how many people have each of you killed?
That's a really good question. You got a lot of good
guys
questions.
grew up
Thanks,
watching-
everybody. All right.
You grew up
Well, it's
watching
been real.
horror movies, so I mean, like, just there's got to be a number, right? Like,
Well, you mean practically or emotionally?
both. You know.
I can tell you how many I've killed in movies. That's it.
Yeah, all right.
That's all you get out of me.
When we're
Well,
off
hypothetically, if I did.
no, we're totally off the air. That red light means nothing.
Oh yeah, right.
Don't worry about that part. Streaming? What?
That doesn't mean
Unfortunately,
anything. That doesn't
horror
mean anything.
movies have not made me a killer or a creative killer. I have just enjoyed and partaken in the
Yeah,
story.
he just uses his car, man. It's weird. It's not enjoyable at all. It doesn't get personal with him.
He keeps telling me he hits road bumps on the freeway, and I'm like, "There's no road bumps on the freeway, Mick." You know, like, I don't know what you're.
And he's always like, if you try hard enough.
Is up.
If you drive.
Oh man,
hard
that
enough.
deer was huge. That deer was a person. Oh,
Right?
all right.
Crazy
All right,
deer.
well.
Ha 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 ha.
Well, on the incriminating evidence that we now have on the scene snobs, we'll get ready to close out. But obviously, first, even though this could take 30 minutes, Mick, where do people find all of your things and the different things that you do?
Your best bet. So we are the Scene Snobs. We host the Scene Snobs podcast and a slew of other shows on YouTube. Just go to thescenesnobs.com. All our links are there. If you follow us on social media with all the links right there, people, just go to thescenesnobs.com. We keep you up to date on what everything is. We go live or we have stuff just pop up. So,
And you guys have a Patreon, correct?
We do. Actually, we're getting ready. Our Patreons, we do a prize giveaway every month. So if you sign up, it's $5 a month. We do put your name in a hat. You win. Now everybody's won. We started in June, and somehow everybody has won because we do extra
we
prize
doubled up?
giveaways. We're actually going to do an extra prize giveaway tomorrow for our Patreon members.
Nice. How much to win Casey?
Ooh, we're not there yet.
Is there a tier like?
Just like a nice warm dinner.
Okay.
Be like a hungry man dinner.
It doesn't have to be warm. Whoa, I don't discriminate. It can be cold. It's fine.
No, you have no say in this. I get the dinner.
Sandwiches are good.
Yeah. Casey, we just get you. Mick gets the reward. We just get you.
I just want to be in one of those like plastic like tubs that like you have to catch all the money in when it's flying up and down, and then feed it through the slot. Like I've been practicing. I'm waiting
Eventually.
Oh,
Let's
the thing,
do that,
the thing
bro.
from Matilda, right? Isn't that the thing from the?
Eventually, we'll all show up at a Chuck E. Cheese and put you in that thing, and it will be like $17.
How did the kids
whatever.
have them for those tickets, but adults don't have it for cashy money? It's not fair.
I don't know. I saw it on Fresh Prince once.
Even with scratch offs, they should do it with scratch off tickets.
Just
I'll
like
take that.
throw a dollar scratch. That's not a bad idea. Well, then again, I feel like if like depending on how high that wind's going, I feel like scratch off tickets whizzing by your face.
Oh, you definitely need to
Good.
wear a full protective face
Yeah.
because those edges.
That would
just,
cut.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's part of
And
the
if they were
fun.
all, and if you came out and you're just covered in like scratch off paper cuts, and then you don't win a single thing,
Oh,
like
And
that's
then I
so
put
sick.
lemon juice on it afterwards.
yes,
But that's
Yeah,
that's the experience, Mark. That's the experience.
It's
you have
true.
to live.
When
So,
Devin needs to feel manly.
that would
it's
be
paper
the
cut
adult
time.
version though. Like you get scratch off tickets, and as soon as you leave, some guy just like shoves like a thing of lemon juice like straight, like just splashes you with a cup of lemon juice. He's like, "There you go, welcome to adulthood." And he's like,
Yeah. That should
No.
be 18. That's
Yeah,
actually what
yeah.
I'm going to do to my dog.
As soon as you turn 18,
Just
you
bunch
just
of paper cuts and
yeah,
then throw
bunch of
lemon
paper
juice at
cuts,
her.
lemon
There you
juice, and be
go.
like, "Congratulations, welcome to adulthood. Get out of the house." And
Welcome.
if you want to watch a crazy movie, watch the Banana Splits movie.
there we go.
the banana splits.
Yeah, it's a
Banana
horror
splits
movie.
right from the princes.
I'm gonna write that down. The banana splits. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, the Banana Splits were like a I don't know, it's like mascot type characters back in the 60s that had a TV show where they had a band. But somebody remade that into a horror movie a few years ago.
Not
And
to get
it's-
confused with bananas and pajamas.
No, it is not. It is very different because they are not coming down the stairs.
Nope, it's all the same thing. It's canon. It's the same thing. But like Mick said, go to the scenesnobs.com and check out not only their Patreon, but all of their socials and the different stuff that they do as well. Obviously, we will make sure to post it in the episode description, but make sure you do your own diligence. And at that, we're going to get ready to wrap up. So if you've made it this far in the episode and none of us have scared you away in any way, looking at you, Casey, just make sure... Make sure you leave a review. We like, maybe we'll read it on the air. Subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to. If you do like this kind of talk and you can go back and want to play previous episodes, if you just pick a podcasting platform, iHeart, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, we are on there. If you do want to support our show, we do have a couple different ways. We do also have a Patreon. So if you want to go to Patreon/Phantom Effect Podcast, you can do various different things with the show as well. You can also go to buymeacoffee.com and search for Phantom Podcast. Personally, I like Patreon more because I feel like you get more bang for your buck. You
100%.
actually can get some reward out of it. But, both are available to you. And merch is now available. So if you go to Teespring, and I think it's just Phantom Effect Podcast, if I'm not mistaken. Or, Phantom Effect.
All the links on our
Yeah,
Facebook
the
page
Phantom
and
Effect,
on this
yes.
episode.
And we have shirts and mugs and sweaters and everything that you would want. All the fun stuff. So give us all of your money. Again, looking at you, Casey. And buy all of the merch that you ever possibly can. And you can also follow me and Devin on Twitch at pretty much what just our names are. Bushido Geek and Dreamy Kong. You can find us both on Twitch. And new episodes every Friday. And in case you missed the first episode of the month in October, for the rest of the month, we will be doing only horror-related episodes. So coming up as well, I won't spoil exactly when it's going to come up, but it will come out this month. We're going to have on some ghost hunters again. And we're going to dive into ghost hunting and the experiences that people have had with doing that. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. Devin, do you have any words? Mick, Casey, any final words for...
Yeah, make sure you guys watch out for your Achilles tendon, because according to Casey, little kids are after him.
All the time.
And I'm gonna work on Cameron getting to say something for Casey in a little...
That's
nice little
absolutely
message.
terrifying.
Nice
I want to
little
say I appreciate this experience to spend this time with you, and thank you very much for hoping to give me nightmares later. I do appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime.
Be kind.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate having us on.
All right, we'll see you guys next week on the Phantom Effect Podcast.
Run credits.